You have a map on your wall, or in your phone, or burned into your memory from years of staring at it in school. And on that map, there was a massive landmass sitting in the middle of the Atlantic. 2 continents, North and South America. And every teacher you ever had told you the same thing. Europe had no idea those continents existed until 1492, when Christopher Columbus sailed west and stumbled onto something he could not explain. But here is the thing they did not tell you.
The Romans were trading with someone far to the west. Archaeologists keep finding things they cannot explain. Things in ancient tombs, buried beneath centuries of silence, that have no right to be there. And the more scientists dig, the more a single unsettling question keeps rising to the surface. What if the ancient world knew something we have spent 500 years pretending it did not? This is not a fringe theory. This is archaeology. And it is stranger than anything your history teacher ever told you. Let us start with cocaine. In 1992, a German toxicologist named Svetlana Balabanova ran a routine analysis on Egyptian mummies held at the Munich Museum. She expected to find the usual chemical markers: oils, resins, the traces of ancient embalming materials. What she found instead stopped her cold. Traces of cocaine, traces of nicotine, both substances confirmed in multiple mummies, including the famous Hennet-Taui, a priestess who died around 1000 BCE. The problem is simple. Cocaine comes from coca plants. Nicotine comes from tobacco. Both plants, at the time of Hennet-Taui's death, existed only in one place on Earth, the Americas. The scientific community did what it always does when the evidence becomes uncomfortable. It rejected the findings. Balabanova was accused of contamination, of error, of wishful thinking. So she ran the tests again. 17 other researchers replicated her work. The results did not change. The substances were real. They were inside the hair shafts, which means they were ingested over time, not contaminated after death.
Nobody has ever explained how they got there. But cocaine in Egyptian mummies is only the beginning, because the Romans left us something even harder to dismiss. In 79 CE, Mount Vesuvius erupted and buried the city of Pompeii under 4 meters of volcanic ash. Everything froze. Bread still sat in ovens. Bodies fell mid-step. And the frescoes on the walls, preserved in perfect detail, captured exactly what Roman citizens ate, wore, and traded. Among those images, archaeologists found depictions of a fruit that should not exist in a Roman kitchen. A fruit with a distinctive bumpy skin, an oblong shape, and a cluster of leaves at the top. The pineapple. The pineapple is native to South America.
Roman scholars have argued about this for decades. Some insist the fruit is a pine cone, misidentified by overeager historians. Others point out that pine cones and pineapples look nothing alike, and that the Romans had a perfectly good word for pine cone. They used it all the time. The word for pineapple, however, does not appear in their vocabulary, because officially, they had never seen one. And yet there it is, painted on a wall, in a city, that has been frozen in time since the year Vesuvius decided the debate was over.
Evan Andrews, a historian writing for the Smithsonian, noted that the appearance of pineapple-like imagery in Roman contexts is one of the most persistent and unresolved questions in ancient trade history. He was being diplomatic. What he meant was that someone, somehow, brought a pineapple from South America to Italy 2,000 years before Columbus was born. Now go further north. Go to the Viking settlement at Lonsal Meadows in Newfoundland, Canada. Archaeologists discovered it in the 1960s. It is irrefutable proof that Norse explorers reached North America around 1000 CE, nearly 5 centuries before Columbus. The Vikings called the land Vinland. They described it in their sagas. They built houses there. They left iron rivets and a bronze pin buried in the earth.
That part of the story is settled. But here is what is less settled. The Norse did not arrive in an empty ocean. They described people they called the Skraeling, indigenous peoples with established trade networks, agricultural systems, and knowledge of the land that stretched back thousands of years. And those trade networks did not stop at the Atlantic coast. Archaeologist Dr. Alice Beck-Kehoe, who spent decades studying pre-Columbian contact, argued in her research that transoceanic contact between the ancient world and the Americas was not only possible, but probable, citing evidence of shared agricultural techniques, textile patterns, and plant distributions that cannot be explained by coincidence or parallel evolution.
Consider the sweet potato. The sweet potato is a South American crop. It has been cultivated in the Andes for at least 8,000 years. And yet when Europeans first arrived in Polynesia in the 16th century, they found sweet potatoes already growing there, already integrated into local cuisine, already known by a name phonetically similar to its Quechua name in South America. Scientists from the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology conducted a 2020 genetic study confirming that the Polynesian sweet potato is directly descended from South American stock, spread through deliberate human contact somewhere between 1000 and 1200 CE.
The Pacific was being crossed regularly, intentionally, long before any European set foot on a ship. And if the Pacific was crossable, so was the Atlantic. The currents make it easier than anyone admits. The North Atlantic Gyre carries warm water from the Gulf of Mexico directly toward Europe. Thor Heyerdahl, the Norwegian explorer, sailed a papyrus reed boat named Ra II from Morocco to Barbados in 1970 to prove the crossing was possible. He made it in 57 days. Ancient mariners who understood the currents better than we give them credit for could have done the same.
The Romans knew the currents. Julius Caesar wrote about tides and sea patterns with the precision of someone who had studied them closely. Roman merchant ships were sophisticated, large, capable of carrying tons of cargo across open water. The Roman Empire's trade routes extended from Britain to India, from the Nile to the Caspian Sea. The idea that their curiosity stopped at the Strait of Gibraltar has always been a strange assumption.
There is one more piece of evidence that historians rarely discuss.
In the ancient Roman city of Herculaneum, also buried by Vesuvius, archaeologists found seeds of maize, corn, a crop that was, at the time of Herculaneum's destruction, growing only in the Americas. The discovery was made by paleoethnobotanist Dr. Marieke van der Veen, whose work on ancient Roman botanical remains has repeatedly turned up species that have no business being in a Mediterranean pantry. The findings have been contested, as all inconvenient findings are. But the seeds were there.
So let us reframe what we actually know. We know that Egyptian mummies from 1,000 years before Rome contained trace chemicals found only in American plants. We know that Roman frescoes depict a fruit that should not have existed in Italy. We know that the Vikings reached North America 5 centuries before Columbus. We know that Polynesians were crossing the Pacific in regular contact with South America. We know that sweet potatoes, corn, and possibly coca crossed oceans in ways that have never been officially explained. We know that ancient sailors were far more capable than our textbooks ever admitted.
What we do not know, because we have been told not to ask, is whether the map was always larger than we were shown. The map in your phone shows a world divided into neat chapters. Ancient here, discovery there, history moving in one clean direction. But the evidence keeps suggesting something messier, something more interconnected. A world where ships went further, where trade reached wider, where the boundaries we drew in history class were never quite where we placed them.
You have a map on your wall, or in your phone, or burned into your memory from years of school. And now you know there are places on it that were already known.